Okay. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Can we get a roll call?
Yes. Whoops. Yes. Chris St. Germain.
Here.
Christine Herbst.
Here.
Jesse Daniels.
Here.
Brian Craig.
Here.
And I'm here as well.
All right. I believe we have a presentation for our flag salute with the kids from Peck School. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, next approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll move we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carried. Do we have any public comment tonight? Okay.
I've received some, I don't know if it's appropriate, but people are not comfortable with the huge agenda share on the screen and would much more rather see the photo shot like what we had during the flag salute. Is that possible to make the agenda smaller? Have people be more engaged with the actual presenters?
We can leave the agenda off and flash it back up, I guess, if we wanted to periodically. I mean, I don't have a problem. I can stop the share and it's up to you guys. How are you gonna do it?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got it right here.
Okay.
All right, moving on. There's no public comment, so approval of the minutes from the last two meetings. Can I get a motion?
I read them. I approve a motion, make a motion to approve the minutes.
And that would be from the regular meeting on 2/14 and the special hearings on 2/15.
Yes, ma'am.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I did have a question. The last meeting, I remember us talking about surplusing vehicles, and I noticed that we're purchasing a vehicle. So I just wanted a little bit of clarity around that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the ones we are surplusing are basically inoperable. So we ended up, we were able to purchase a vehicle from the county. As going from government entity to government entity, we didn't have to do the bid process. So we were able to get a deal on a vehicle that has low miles. We can use it for a service vehicle.
Okay, I was concerned about its quality, so.
Yep.
Okay, any other comments?
One more thing, I noticed that we're kind of all over the page on our year-to-date expenditures ranging from 3% to 139%. Is that normal this time of year? Because we're close, we're about 65% in, 70%, right?
Yeah, so there's a discrepancy there that as we pay people on a 12-month basis, So all of our certified staff is September 1 to August 31st, but it gets paid out. So it's a 12-month process, but you're not to that side of that yet, if that makes sense. So we pay it out over the whole entire time, but we started in September, so it squeezes that percentage. And this is a time also that if we're over on anything, we're really trying to balance those accounts out this year. Brittany's doing a great job with that. So what we've said is if you really have an expense in an account, we want to see what that expense is so we can budget more clearly last year or next year. What's happened in the past, if people see, a maintenance account versus a purchase service account in their budget, and they're out of a purchase service account, they'll pull from the other if there's money there. So we're saying, go ahead and go over in the one so we can get real numbers.
Okay,
So-
that's what
so
I was
go-
hoping.
Yeah, we're trying to be as real as possible. So yeah, in turn, that's created a little bit of high on some and low on others. So we're trying to get a better picture. Good question.
Okay, anything else? And next we'll go on to the payment of bills from the February accounts payable in the budget.
Just do the consent agenda.
Consent agenda. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, consent
Just do it,
agenda.
Yeah, for both of it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed then?
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda as listed there.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Okay, let's move on to reports and recognitions. Do we have anybody with appreciations and presentations on that?
I don't have any presentations at the moment. There were some appreciations mentioned in some of the leadership. If
Mhm.
you guys read some of those, there were several things in there. So we'll just defer to that if that's okay.
Okay with that? Okay. Okay. Committee reports.
So the committee reports, and I think there were some of those listed in there as well. So they've been busy doing lots of different things. I know Greg met with his group. Our calendar committee, which is one of these that is an action item, we completed that. I need to get our policy committee back together. We have some spring updates, and we're just going to go through and discuss those a little bit as we go. So and I know our curriculum committee is meeting. They're having difficulty getting everybody together, so they're doing some surveying and collecting data that way from our teachers. They're focusing on science this year. That's something the standards have changed in, so we're trying to get caught back up to speed on that one. What else have we got?
Cal-
and safety, we haven't had much change in it.
No.
so we've had
No.
meetings,
Yep.
so that's good.
Good, perfect.
Calendar, we have
Yep.
approval of that.
Yep, calendars, we're doing that. We've got that one done. Oh, our learning loss committee. And last time you guys allowed us to start some programs. So we are starting those programs with some Friday school, with some schooling that is going in, tutoring within the school, basically. So we're utilizing some students. We're also utilizing some sort of classified staff. So we're trying to get it all directions, and this is kind of a Band-Aid year, for lack of a better term. We're trying to plug some holes. So in the process, we're still developing full-blown programs for our schools next year. So we're just trying to get through, get some kids caught up, and then trying to implement something and incorporate it full next year. And some of those things for next year we're looking at will be having basically, for example, like at Timberline, we're doing, we're utilizing a sub, basically a sub that is coming in every day. And we have junior high kids that are getting, if they have incomplete work or they're failing grades, they're getting pulled out of those classes, and then they're being moved into those to get tutored, basically help one-on-one. So right now it seems to be working. We're seeing an increase in homework completion and also seeing some grades increase. So that little piece is working a little bit, but we're going to see if we can't do something a little bit more extensive next year. So we're looking at increasing our title program at Orofino Elementary School, and potentially putting a full-time certified teacher in there to help coordinate that right now. That's getting coordinated through our vice principal, and we'll be doing, and then with paras implementing. So we're looking at putting a full-time teacher in there to help organize that and make that even more, track the data even more closely and make it more usable. So in the high school, we have Friday school going on at Orofino, and then this tutoring with students, we're utilizing some of them as well. So lots going on, lots happening with that side of it. We just don't have all the right answers yet, but we're trying. So
Mhm.
I apologize for not making that meeting, but are we going to be capturing some of the data points in relationship to the pilot and the outcomes so that we can fold those into decisions that we bring
Yeah.
to the board to move forward?
Absolutely. Yeah. So currently we're, those trigger points, so to speak, we had to go back and track all of our data basically and say who was missing X number of assignments, or if they're not being at school, or if they're failing. There was lots of different trigger points to allow these kids to go in and get that extra help. So once we get that, we're looking at the success rate of those kids as well. That's all being documented and the data will be tracked.
Are we addressing transportation issues for some of the students that can't get to Friday school?
So yes, some of the Friday school, we do have transportation available if we can find drivers. We're considering that. We haven't implemented it yet, but we're definitely considering that, seeing what the need is. We're evaluating. Yep. So most of these programs right now, we have this learning loss money that we've received that's came down from some of the federal money. And so we're going to utilize that to help offset some of the costs of these programs.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns, anything?
One thing I was just thinking about, I think we should think about our transportation issue. I'm sure we all read the report. Actually, we had some great reports this time, and I do want to say thank you to everybody who put those together. That means a lot to us because that tells us what's really going on, and I appreciate that. And good reports this time too. But in the transportation report, there were, I know that one of the drivers is out right now for Timberline, I believe. And so you guys have been making up the difference. And I was wondering if there's any way we could, somebody just shared an idea with me. They said, why don't we, the drivers are going to be the ones that maybe could find somebody for us. So maybe we should give some kind of a stipend or bonus to somebody who refers a driver to us that sticks, let's say 6 months or something like that. And then also maybe give some kind of a bonus if somebody signs up to be a driver. I think we have to attract people somehow. It's, I don't know what the starting pay is at this point. I remember we had to schedule that and we changed it. I know what the top pay was. I don't know what they start at, but and you guys are having the same deal. We're seeing this across the board. We're competing with pretty high wages out there. So we have to come up with some idea, some way to attract people. I don't see why we couldn't give some kind of a bonus if you signed up as a driver.
So we did, we implemented, we had some money available last fall, but there was a really short window to implement that.
Okay.
And we were doing some sign-on bonuses for people. We had some people come in and ask, and then our difficulties is getting people to come back and follow through.
I see.
So there's lots of inferences, but there's not a lot of follow through, and that's pretty typical. So one thing that, to kind of bring you guys up a little bit more speed on that as well is as we move through this budgeting season, looking at all the wages. I mean, that's something we're considering, is looking at all of our classified wages and looking at potentially trying to move the whole bit up, which would help everybody, to raise that lower end. So the final dollar figure is going to be pretty pricey. And then of course it's a sustainability of it. Can we sustain that year after year? So that's something we're taking a really hard look at and trying to figure that out as well. So
it fuel's a big deal now too.
Yeah. Well, our fuel budget, doesn't take long now.
I think everybody's fuel budget is
Yeah.
shot.
Kaput.
Kaput at this point.
Well, and you saw what Derek put in there in his report
Yes,
for
I did.
transportation. That was pretty
Right.
interesting to see the miles we run every day.
Yeah.
So pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, I don't think you'd want to do this just open-ended, but maybe for a given period of time, maybe for a month or something like that.
Right.
I guess we did it that way in the fall.
We did, and
huh?
there was only a couple of weeks in there. It might have been a little over 2 weeks on it, but it was difficult. And we were rushing to get it done. So, I mean, that was part of the issue, is we had till a certain date to get that money spent. And we were trying to figure out how we were going to
I
do that.
gotcha.
And
Yeah.
yeah. So
Some of the federal
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah. Well, that was actually some state money. That
Oh,
came
was
in.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let us
Okay.
have it, but put strings on it. So.
So while we're in transportation, Madam Chair, in reading the report, I wondered what obligation or responsibility do we have to actually transport to sporting events and extracurricular activities compared to self-transport?
None.
So, I mean, maybe that's something that we want to consider as well. Probably not very popular, but with a shortage of drivers and increased cost of fuel.
So I
Maybe
don't know.
the
I don't think do you see Derek on there? Hey, Derek, would you mind speaking to the reimbursements that we get from transportation? I know most of our costs are 85% reimbursable. So if we can get Derek on here, maybe he can speak to it a little bit more clearly on the sections. See him. Derek, are you on there?
He just muted himself.
His name's on there.
Yeah, he just
Yeah.
muted. His little microphone's got a red X through it.
So we can pay, I guess, to kind of expand, even like on our routes and stuff, if, we can pay in lieu of, we do have some obligations by state code to provide some sort of compensation or transportation for students to come to school if they're outside of a certain distance. I can't remember exactly what that is. So there are some different avenues, but sporting events, any extracurricular activities are not at this point, not required.
Does the pay per play cover any of that?
It helps pay for some of that. Yeah. So, typically district wide, we pay fully like for state travel and those type of things, state and national, any of that type of stuff. So the local, when we're doing local things, we end up, it is an expense to us,
Right.
but we try to recoup what we can from the schools.
Okay.
Yeah, from that.
All right.
Maybe it's something we want to put to like a business plan model and look at cost effectiveness. Perhaps increasing fees.
We've looked at several different things. There's been different recommendations of even getting, like large passenger vans, so you don't have to have a CDL. Some of the concerns we have is some of our liability. You put somebody in that's not trained to drive with kids, that many kids, up to a 15 passenger van, that's a little risky. So there's some hoops. It can't be a yellow bus. It'd have to be a white or something like that. Derek, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, I had to switch from the computer to the phone. Sorry, it wouldn't pick up
All
my
right.
microphone.
So, Chris, you want to kind of re-question that?
Yeah, I was just wondering, in reading your report and thinking about transportation to extracurricular activities, do we have an obligation or a responsibility to do so?
Well, I think Dr. Garrett's answer was correct, and no, we don't. We always routes are first. So we manage our routes first, and then if we have extra, then we cover the trips. And that's why we go to the self-transport, because we're going to cover the routes always first. And when we're extra, when we have the help, when we can get the coverage, then we'll go cover the route or the trips.
Are we having trouble covering the trips, Derek, or more the people to school and back?
Both. Yeah, both. Today's an example. I'm on the hill. That's why I'm not there tonight. I'm driving a Timberline route all week this week because we have no subs up here. In Orofino, we had a call in this morning. I had to call another driver to cover that route, a sub to cover that route, all at 4 o'clock this morning, trying to get juggled to cover because we just don't have a lot of coverage. Afternoons, I've basically got one sub, and that's Sheriff Getz, and he's available about 50% more of the time, and that's my only afternoon sub in Orofino right now. So it's a struggle.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody have any other comment, question for
Yeah.
Derek?
Go right ahead. I just want to convey that we are certainly not the only ones struggling with this.
I'm sure.
It's
No.
a nationwide issue, and it's, you look around the region, you look around the state, you look around the nation, it's just getting more and more exaggerated as we go. So it's an issue for sure.
What time do the routes start in the afternoon, Derek?
Afternoon, we start. The first buses leave the garage at 3:15 in the afternoon,
Okay.
Schools are.
and the latest ones get back in at 5.
Yeah.
About 5.
So it's
It's not what happens when I drive them, Derek. It's usually 5:30. I get the late one.
I was gonna say, if I was doing it before 45. All right. Anything else on that? Oh, okay. All right.
There was a
So,
question about reimbursements or something too, right?
Yeah, can you just
What
run
was
through the
that?
reimbursement? Yeah, what's the reimbursements on our routes and our miles we put on our bus and stuff?
Well, we I have a meeting with our this week with our regional director to try to go over some more of what's called our funding cap, get some of that nailed down for sure, so I understand how that works. But we're 85% reimbursed on our wages, including all of our benefits, and our fuel is 85%. Parts are 85%. Our new buses are 85% on a depreciation system. So anything that has to do directly with buses is 85%. And then we do have a mileage reimbursement. When it comes to extracurriculars and sports, they allow us to be reimbursed 85% for wages and for fuel, but we do not get any mileage reimbursement at all on sports. All of that mileage cost is on the district.
So on the route, we get reimbursement for a staff time, capital expense and mileage, but on extracurricular and sports, it is only staff time.
Yeah, we get paid for the fuel, 85%. Of course, the maintenance on the buses is all 85% regardless.
Right.
And then all the wages are all at 85%. Then it gets more confusing because there's a funding cap. And so because we are a small district that is a rural district, and we have 2 schools in our district that we're transporting for, our cost per mile is of the highest in the state, which most small districts like us are. And so we hit a funding cap. And so we have what's called hardship routes, which gravel, steep, students per mile. Then we get extra funding over that funding cap for the hardship routes on a funding cap waiver. And what I want to try to determine a little bit this week when I meet with our regional specialist is how much is the maximum funding cap? Is there a maximum? How do I go ahead and look ahead at our funding cap for next year and try to budget out, like, what's the maximum 85% reimbursement we can get from that? Like, how much can we spend and still be 85% reimbursed, if that makes sense?
Okay.
Your
Let's move.
Your accounting expertise will come into play here, Derek. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. All right, let's move on to the building reports. And if there's anything else, we can get down here when we get down to programs. Feedback. All right. Building reports. Everybody able to read all those? Any questions, comments, concerns, anything? Sounds like everybody's busy and doing a great job.
One of the things that we have talked about is the challenge and frustrations around truancy. And the only building report that provided sort of attendance scenario was Timberline. So I'm wondering whether the other buildings could include a attendance summary.
Yeah, that's a good point, Chris. We did talk about that at one point in time. Do we have any feedback from any of the administrators on that? As far as attendance, has it been good, bad, ugly?
We can do a report that's district-wide or by building, so that's not a problem.
I mean, if that's one of the challenges that we need to address and think about, it would be great to know what that issue really is.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Anything else on any of those?
They're just great reports.
They are. It sounds like everybody's
Good things happening.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff happening, a lot of busyness before break, apparently. All right. All right. Program reports. Anything else on transportation? Do we need to talk about anything more on that?
No, I know the levy just passed and my go-to was activities and extra, band sports.
Yeah.
And when people ask me about the levy, that's always what I referred to. So I know there's a big chunk that was out there voting for the levy. So we need to be careful because I know the people that came to me, that's what they're thinking the levy's going to. I
Right.
know it goes to a lot of things, but that's what they kind of assume it goes to. So we just need to be careful on that.
Absolutely. Maintenance, I appreciate Roy's report and welcome, Roy. he's on. I don't know if he's on.
He may not be on here. He
Oh.
was not feeling well today.
Oh.
He was a little under the weather, I believe.
Yeah, that was a really good report, and it was kind of refreshing to see on paper with the list of the issues and what needed to be taken care of and whatnot. So it sounds promising.
Yeah, so this is kind of falling always back on our local buildings, basically, to kind of organize and get that done. And that's always been kind of a cumbersome process to do, and having to go through one channel has just made it so much better at this point. So, yeah,
Okay.
we've got a lot to do for sure. And again, short on people in that area as well. That's where we're struggling trying to get people on. So we'll keep trying.
Wow.
So are there funding programs that can help us address some of the infrastructure? Or is that just things that we need to prioritize and plan for our budget going forward?
So the latter of that is typically the right answer. We'll just budget and plan. We'll come across some programs here and there and some grant, that will help us in some particular areas, but usually they're pretty specific. It's got to be for a particular item or for a particular project, not holistically like some of our things we need to do.
I know in Elk River, we got a flood proofing grant because City Hall, the basement was flooding. And so if we could be so lucky as to have a flood event, we may be able to tie some FEMA dollars to dealing with the drainage issues. The other thought I had was, and talking to Don Gardner, I think we should do that because there may be a way to leverage FEMA dollars for flood proofing facilities. But the other piece on the sidewalks is if we could tie it to healthy activity, Michael, we may be able to pitch a proposal to the community transformation grant folks, depending on what the costs associated with those are.
I think we already have a pitch for them that we're getting ready to put together, and that would be our track at Orofino. We're having some issues with the surface of it. So
That would be
something
better.
we're going to have to do.
Yeah. And one suggestion that I have heard, and I've actually made to a couple of incoming seniors, is some of this stuff would be good senior projects for
Like the
Seniors
one
too.
that did a project for you, right? For you guys.
yeah.
That was amazing. The kid grew a garden, sold the produce and gave the money to. Unbelievable.
That garden was awesome.
And your report was great. Yeah, and it sounds good. I like to eat at your school.
I think it's a great thing to push the locker rooms as a prime example. A couple years ago, a kid went and redid all the locker rooms and they're
Yeah.
just flawless.
Mhm.
And put
Fantastic
back into the
stuff.
school,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's lots of good things that,
Scoreboard. Did they
Sweet.
do a scoreboard?
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's lots of good things that can be done as projects, senior projects, and the money raised and doing something practical from the
That,
schools.
that is
So-
cool
I
stuff.
think we have water bottle filling stations.
Yeah.
They raise money for that. And yeah,
That
there's
was
been a lot of-
Hananoa, I think,
Mhm.
this year.
Yeah, there's
Did
been
that.
some good projects.
We got a great report from the nurse.
I know.
I couldn't believe all the stuff she was doing.
She's busy.
I mean, it's
How
Doing a
awesome.
great job.
We're screening
thinking
kids for
about
all
our-
kinds of good things.
Go ahead, Chris.
Sorry. Thinking about our food storage need, I wonder if there's a trade associated workforce development, apprenticeship mentoring program with some of our contractors to build a facility that would meet Carmen's needs.
The maintenance director's working on something, right? What's he
We're-
working
he's working
We
with
on?
Carmen
identified
on
it as
that.
a
Oh.
need. So, and Carmen and I have spoke of it in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got some minds working on it for sure.
That's good.
Yeah, our team's there's a lot of cool things going on with the team right now. They're working together really well and we're solving problems moving forward. So,
Yeah, these reports were just awesome. This time it was good to see reports from some of the staff that we hadn't seen that much from
Mhm.
previously. So that's really, really good. Okay. Anything else? You want to speak about your superintendent report at all?
you guys
No?
read it? Updates just like anything else. If there's something you have questions, I'll be glad to.
No. Any other questions, comments, anything on that?
Related to the truancy attendance and then the up 3 and the up 22 from a year ago, we've talked in the past about the fact that about 30% of our students are different from the beginning of the year to the year. I wonder if there's a way to incorporate that data point into these enrollment reports.
Probably so. I'd have to work with Dwayne a little bit on that one to see, or Russell.
No, and you put it in your report, but passing our levy, I mean, I think we take that for granted. I mean, there's
Absolutely.
communities just up the road that didn't pass theirs
No,
Yeah.
and they're scrambling right now. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
good on our community for doing
Yes.
that.
Absolutely.
that's right. We appreciate
Yeah.
it.
My last update, that's what I said. That was it.
Yeah.
Just thanks, because it just makes a difference of what we can do and can't do. So that's a very
Yeah.
positive thing. Very appreciative.
And we have been very fiscally responsible, I think, and able to do some of the
Yeah.
the good things
Yep.
that,
Mhm.
Mhm.
such as the Timberline classroom build and some of those
Mhm.
things. with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? No,
Not here.
no, everybody good? Okay, so I think we're going to move into executive session at this time. Can I get a motion?
I'll move that pursuant Idaho Code 74-2061A, we move to executive session.
Second? Second?
I'll second it.
All right, do roll call?
Chris St. Germain,
Yes.
Christine Herbst,
Yes.
Jesse Daniels,
Yes.
Brian Craig,
Yes.
Greg Giroux, yes.
All right, motion carried. We'll go into executive.
Michael, you'll call me?
Yeah. So your cell.
Yeah, please.
Okay. I'll do that. Yeah, we'll just go in the other room real quick. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we have to have a motion to go out, right? Come back in.
Yeah, we don't have to have motion to
Okay.
go back out. We are out.
We are-
Write this down.
Back into regular session out of executive. Okay. So let's move on to our discussion items. First one is the April 25th and 26th Law Conference. Dr. Garrett?
Yeah, so the law conference is put on by Anderson, Julian Hall, which is our attorney group, and they do, and it's kind of co-sponsored by ISBA as well. This conference, if you can go to this one, this is a really good informative conference. I've already had Heidi reserve hotel rooms, but we can cancel if you guys don't want to go, but we have enough. You can make that decision. It generally talks about current topics that are really hitting every single school and kind of how to deal with that as well. So it's a lot of case law and a lot of the recent policies have changed and all that. So it's totally up to you guys.
This is in Boise.
Yes, it's in Boise. Sorry.
It's a
Yep.
Monday and Tuesday.
Yep.
Yep. I'm planning.
Yeah, me too.
I'll get you confirmation.
Okay. That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll let you know by next week.
Yeah, if you can let us know by Thursday, because spring breaks next week and Heidi
Oh.
won't be around. So if you can do it by Thursday, we would probably still be able to do that after, but sooner the better. But if it's later than that, that's fine. Just let us know.
Okay, next item is our board clerk.
Yeah, so in executive session, we can discuss personnel. So we did discuss that a little bit. So I would just go ahead and move on from that one. and
Okay.
Go down to action
We'll
items.
come back to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, purpose statement.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
Yeah. Did you guys decide anything?
So I've been doing a lot of thinking about the purpose statement and looking at our mission and our vision. And I think that the preparing the next generation to thrive drives is driven right out of our mission, which has the focus of preparing and inspiring. And then our vision, which we want to innovate, become instill initiative and learning. So in sort of tying them all together, I support preparing the next generation to thrive.
So keep in mind, this was a culmination of a lot of surveying and talking to our staff and lots of different people involved with this, parents, students and all that. And that's how this all kind of zeroed down to, instead of doing the generic mission vision statements like a lot of places do, we kind of decided it was going to be a purpose statement just because it kind of covers everything. So your words were well heard. Thank you, Chris. They make sense. So, and like I said, we can choose both as well, or a combination of all. But that's kind of what we came up with as a leadership team. And
Chris, can you say it one more time?
Yeah, so if you look at the top of your agenda, we've had a mission and a vision. We have a motto too, but in our mission statement and our vision statements, there are some words that really resonate with me around this preparing the next generation to thrive. And those words are prepare and inspire, innovate, initiative, and learning. And I mean, those are all action-oriented words around sort of creating that environment and institutional capacity, information delivery for thriving, I think.
So your suggestion is to just go with the preparing the next generation to thrive.
Yes. Because in turn, if our future generations thrive, then our communities are going to be tied to that. And the community one just doesn't have it for me.
And thrive too, when you stop and think about it, it's kind of like a student can thrive in many, many different areas. So it's kind of generic in that thriving means something different to every kid. So we're not,
Cookie cutter.
cookie cutter. Okay. I like it.
I've also been reading The Innovator's Advantage, so that book might have something to do with it too. But I think that tying them to our past mission and vision is
absolutely fine.
have from that going forward.
We just felt bringing a choice for you guys, and you can hash it out like you're doing.
I
So
kind of liked them both. So I
put one in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Put one on the back page.
Yeah.
I agree with Chris on this one.
Yeah.
I think that's the right mission.
So there'll be an actual action item later. If you guys,
Yep.
you can discuss it further if you want to chew on it a little bit, and then
No, I think we're good.
yeah, cool.
Okay. The spring 2022 updates.
Yeah, so these, we haven't had these through or put these through our policy committee yet. I need to get that together. I just want to get these in your guys' hands so you can see kind of what they're
Gotcha.
at. So
We're not taking any action on
No,
this right
no.
now.
no, we'll, if you guys have any major questions that show up or whatever, but
Mhm.
if you haven't had a chance to look at
Yeah.
them, that's fine as well. I just want to get them in your hands and make sure you guys know they're there. So, and there's a summary memo. When you click on that link, it gives you a whole bunch of them, and there's a summary memo there with recommendations from ISBA.
Any more discussion on that one?
No?
And we'll have that on the agenda in April for our regular meeting. And
Okay.
we'll have our, hopefully we'll have our policy
Have it
committee
all
meeting
up.
before that, so we can make some recommendations as well.
Okay. All right. Everybody ready to move on to the action items and okay, the first one is the 2022, 23 and 23, 24 calendar, drafts the calendar.
I'll move we accept the calendars drafted as presented.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Any discussion?
Oh, any discussion? Yeah.
I guess the only discussion is I was on a few of those meetings and I just kind of listened, but the team, there's people that have been on a long time and there was some really good ideas, but then they have kind of done some of the ideas. So it was really cool to see them come together and get to where they got.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always good to have the input from the committees. And
It
then,
was.
we pulled a lot of data from, there were some suggestions about Fridays, if we were off on Mondays, and we pulled that attendance data and it was way off, way low. So I thought there were some really reasonable conversations. in
Yeah,
it.
very good education for me just to see that
Yeah.
there's some very good thought that went into
It's well
this
thought
and
through.
it was well thought through and like I said, there were some great ideas but kind of went with the majority and the people that have been doing it for a while.
Yeah. Comes down to it's very intricate. isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Anybody else?
No.
Comments, discussion, anything? Okay, can I get a motion? We had a motion
Oh, yeah. You already have a second.
and we
too.
already had a second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, next action item is our board clerk position. You want to discuss this at all?
Yeah, I guess.
Not in your action items,
Okay,
not until you get to the second.
okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. All right. Can I get a motion from someone? Anyone?
Are we naming names?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
It's open, yeah.
Okay. Are you going to do it?
Go ahead.
No, that's okay.
Somebody.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
It's on the cheats.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we elect Carmen Griffin as the board clerk.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we decided on an per year $1,800 versus the $1,200
Yes.
and board clerk training. And then we'll have to draft up and or talk about some expectations we need to go through with her so she knows what her role and responsibility will be to help support us and keep us in line. And it's a good selection.
Yeah, and I guess that's where we were at is we really think Carmen, you can keep us online. And that's part of the reason we want that. We're still a pretty new board and we want to make sure this person feels comfortable speaking up when we're messing up.
We want you to speak up.
And you've seen us speak up and mess up and all that stuff enough. I think
5 minutes ago.
Happens a lot.
happens a lot. My brain goes to mush after 7:30 at night. So anyway, okay. Any other discussion? And I guess you're good. Okay. Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Congratulations, Carmen.
Get your pen.
Get your pen out. Taking over right now.
Next week, next month.
Okay, next action item, emergency closure days, snow days.
Yeah, so the Timberline School, those were, the first two were district-wide, and then Timberline School was
Oh.
3-3, which is when they actually went to state. So we closed school because there were so many
Oh.
staff gone. The others, yeah, so
Okay. Okay,
weather-related.
Motion?
Well, I'll move that we approve the emergency closure dates for the district-wide, January 20th, 2022, and January 24, 2022, and then Timberline for the Timberline School for March 3rd, 2022.
I'll second.
All in favor? Oh,
Yeah,
he seconded.
yeah.
Okay. Any discussion? I think so. We'll be good.
Good.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. All right, surplus item declaration.
Yeah, and I didn't get this up there very quickly for you guys, and I apologize for that, but we have, and I think Chris was asking a little bit about this, but I have a listing here. I can share the screen if I need to. Put this up here so you guys can see it. So the red ones on here have already been surplused, and we're trying to thin down some of our junk vehicles, and that's really what we have is a lot of junky vehicles. So we have a four-wheeler that basically is non-operational right now. It's a 1993 304 tracks that we need to surplus. This Chevy C10, this 1981 is the one that's at OES, and it's just nothing. It barely runs. And then this Ford F-150 right now, Roy is currently driving this one for maintenance. It's got a few issues with it, but we're looking at surplusing it whenever we end up with another vehicle for him. So we actually were able to purchase a couple of vehicles through some grants that we had. So we're purchasing one for him, and also one Casey wrote a grant for our nurse did. So she gets a vehicle that she can run around with as well. So, and then we have one for our maintenance as well. So that's going to replace that vehicle when the time comes. So those three I'd like to surplus. The two that we'll be getting rid of just as soon as we can are those two at the beginning. We're going to hang on to the other one until we get this other one in. So does that make sense to everyone? And hopefully we'll have a pretty decent fleet of vehicles that we actually use quite often and we're able to use.
Okay.
If we had the vehicles, would we move towards pushing staff to use them instead of mileage reimbursement?
So we've been down this road multiple times on different avenues and different areas. And what we find is vehicles for staff to use for going to conferences and those type of things, they're not really wanting to use them. And I'll tell you why. Most people are pretty familiar with their own vehicle, and to ask them to get in, from an all-wheel drive, whatever they're driving SUV, to get in our school van to take to Boise at night, come back in the dark is a pretty big ask. So mileage is something that I'm prepared to go ahead and pay for people. But if we have situations where we're within district and we constantly are running back and forth, I think there is a need for a vehicle. So that's kind of my approach to that. And I think it would be cost effective with what we're doing.
I don't think we want to do it while we have 1981. And
No.
as we getting nicer vehicles,
Yeah.
maybe we think about it, but
Right.
Yeah.
if something breaks down and there defeats the purpose.
And I think currently, are we still and I'll have to look, still paying, like we used to, and I don't think we're doing that now, but we used to pay, if you had the option of taking a district vehicle and you chose to take your own, we would only pay half the mileage. And I think we changed that. And we changed that recently, if you're going on a trip anywhere, if I remember right. So, because so many people were taking their own vehicles and, gas is higher than ever. And it's just, there's a safety piece to it that is, you just can't deny. Lots of people going a lot of miles to a
Right.
conference and then getting in a vehicle they don't know it's just kind of a recipe for
Or
disaster.
driving a 1-ton truck to
Mhm.
Boise. I
Right.
mean, are we really
Ridiculous,
saving any
yeah.
money? Probably not.
Right.
Or driving a 1981 that's going to break down
Right.
potentially, and then we're
Before
hauling into
Camby.
exactly, and then we're getting
Yeah.
a tow truck.
It's a
So I'd
40-year-old
say if we
vehicle.
get our vehicles updated, maybe we go back to it, but for now we stick with mileage.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've got, so the two vehicles we're using, our cars for driver's ed, and then we're to have some maintenance vehicles. So we'll be in pretty good shape for what our needs are internally. But going out, I think we're just probably better off paying mileage at this point.
So you want to make a motion?
Now we have those 3 items listed on there.
I'll move to approve the surplus of the identified items.
I'll second.
Any discussion, any more discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay. Employee supplemental 457 plan, the resolution.
Yeah, so this is something, and I don't know if, is Farah on here? I don't think she is. It's her birthday, so
Oh.
I hope she's not. I hope she's not. So this 457 plan, this is kind of a supplemental plan for retirement that you can buy into, employees can buy into. It doesn't cost the district anything. There's some flexibilities in it that are not available in some other plans. What happened with this plan is it moved over to the state to control it versus where it
Mhm.
used to be. And this really is just catching up with that. So the resolution that I sent to you guys is basically saying it's the state handles it. We're okay with people going into it. We can pull out of their paychecks to put out of there if they sign the forms and sign up for it. So
Do we
it's just
match anything for that?
not on the 457. No.
Okay,
It's deferred compensation.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's like a 401k and
Mhm.
Yeah.
a lot of times there's
Yeah.
matching going on
Right.
there.
Yeah,
That is
not on
one
this one.
thing, the one way we could enhance people's situation down the road if we
Mhm.
wanted to. There's
Yeah.
some tax advantages to doing
Yeah.
it that way.
And I think this 457 plan
Oh,
has some
I know.
different tax advantages versus a 403B and some of those other things that are going on. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's just a good option for our employees. I think it's a good one to have. So I would recommend we adopt the
Yeah.
resolution.
Are all employees eligible for this?
Mhm.
Don't
Yeah.
laugh.
Yep. Any employee, full or part-time.
Okay.
Yep.
You're laughing at me.
Okay, all right, are we ready for a motion?
We have to have a resolution to do it
The resolution is already written here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just have to accept the resolution?
Yeah. So we just fill in the blanks with our names, obviously, and yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to move that we accept the district employee supplemental 457 plan resolution. It's going to go with the state now, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Perfect.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Oh, I forgot discussion. Do we have any more?
You're gonna get it.
I know, I will.
We just discussed it.
I know we did. Yeah, that's, okay. Let's do that again. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Item number 6, I will do a quick explanation of why we struck that off of there. Originally, we were looking at using this for our students to do tutoring. So currently, what we have is any student that is employed with us, we currently have them do a background check. And really it is if you're left alone, kind of like our volunteer policy. So if you're with somebody, if you're a student and you're tutoring somebody, but there's a supervisor in the room as a teacher, a pair, whatever, an employee, you technically wouldn't have to have that background check. But with what we found out is if you are going to get paid from us, you need to go ahead and do that background check. So that's why we struck that off. So we're going to basically use our classified and volunteer form and kind of make our own for student employment. So
Mhm.
anyway, so we've got that handled. We've already got things in place for that. We just need to use that form for it. So we thought we were going to do
Makes sense.
something, but we
We don't have to do
no,
anything.
don't
We
have to
don't
do anything.
on
No,
that.
so that one's good.
Okay, number 7, purpose statement.
I move that we adopt preparing the next generation to thrive as our purpose statement.
First, can we get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Are you going to vote, Chris? Did you vote?
Oh, I did. I moved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Motion carries. Our new purpose statement is as written on there.
If there's going to be a test in April, so memorize it.
It's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
It is.
So we're going to
Yeah.
do away with all the other stuff and it's just going to have this.
Yep.
Yep. Short, sweet, and to the point.
Okay.
All right. New hires and separations. Anybody have any questions? He understands it. Okay. Okay, can I get a motion?
I'll move that we accept the new hires and applications as listed.
Comparison what?
Sorry, new hires and separations. Is that what I said?
Said applications.
Oh, did I say that?
You got it.
You got
I
it.
take
You're good.
applications from all the above.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that we accept the new hires and separations as listed below. Thank you.
I'll second it.
Need more discussion, questions?
We just need Carmen soon.
Yeah, we do. don't we?
Brian?
We're gonna miss Mrs. Ratliff something fierce.
Yeah.
She's a great teacher.
Yes, yeah, that makes me want to cry, but okay.
Yep.
Tis what it is, but on to bigger and better things. Sure. All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
I
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, input for future agenda. Next regular meeting is April 18th at Cavendish.
So we had talked about a schedule and I think we talked about a schedule last meeting. It might be, I would like to see some sort of chart or table, Michael, that identifies where we are in that, whether things are accomplished, what the timelines are to completion. And maybe it's because my brain has been in the building regulatory documents, but keeping us sort of on track and in the flow that we need to be in addressing the issues in a timely manner, I think would be very helpful to have a visual.
So you're talking about the events for the, for each meeting, like the topics of discussion?
Yeah, the board,
Okay,
there were some
yeah, yep.
topics.
Yeah, we got a little bit sidetracked and I apologize for that because we were working on our committees and our learning loss and some of those things. And I just kind of, I just slipped that one. So definitely we will get that put together.
And I wonder whether it couldn't be maybe part of your report, kind of this is where we are as an introduction, and then dive into the details of your report.
However you want to do it. We can certainly get a document out to you guys and show what we're looking at every single month, is what was kind of the main topics. Right now and I'll be honest with you, Chris, and everybody else is with some of the changes that have come up, we've kind of slipped out of that reactive mode that we were in. And I think we're getting more proactive. So we've kind of slipped into a different, kind of a different action right now. And so things change. So some of the things that were on this, like on the agenda, for example, on tonight was not something we had planned last week or last month. I mean, so, there's things that we have to kind of take care of and get out of the way and move forward with. So that'll come together better and better as we go. But yeah, I don't disagree with you. We had a plan a few years ago and it worked really well.
Maybe you and I should sit down and look at that because we literally had a calendar of every month there was.
Yeah, we have that
Mhm.
calendar. I still have that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wonder whether it would make sense to.
I will share that with you guys. So you can take a look at it and we can,
I think we had that at one time.
We
didn't
do.
we?
I looked back in the minutes and couldn't find anything. So.
we have it. Trust me, I've got
Yeah,
it.
I know we
Mhm.
do. That's why.
Yep.
Like, is it relevant? Isn't it? If it's not relevant, I'll happily put it out of my mind.
Right.
but
Parts of
maybe-
it are and parts of it are not.
And I
can
think
tell you.
some of the things on that calendar are deadlines set by the state
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, and I think we had things like some data review stuff and that's changed since we built that calendar. So we're doing maps testing instead of, some of the other
Right.
testing we're doing. So some of those timelines have changed, but we can rebuild that. That's not a big
Yeah.
deal. We can do that. I think it'll be important to do.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
as we go through a year, you guys being on the board will know, oh, in April. we
What we're
do-
supposed to do.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
been doing this. So that's a lot of what I look at for just a little bit for you guys that are newer and little references, looking back at last year's minutes.
Yeah.
And you kind of have an idea or last year's agenda. And you can
Last
see
year
those
did too.
online on our website. You can pull up last year's and see what those are.
last
So-
year was kind of,
Yeah, well, maybe I should say 3 years.
No,
Yeah.
I'm with you though,
Yeah.
getting moving forward. And Chris, you brought up earlier, but really that attendance would be huge to look at. Seeing if we're improving, if we're things that we're putting in are helping. And then, like I said, I just want to thank the kids that brought the flag in and then we hit it, but these leadership, they're just, the reports are putting together. It makes it a lot easier to
Awesome.
make
Yeah.
decisions as a board when you have
Good.
a good report to read before you get in.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Mhm.
big.
Yep.
yeah.
That's awesome. Good.
They're worth
Glad.
the reads every
Absolutely.
week,
Yeah.
every time.
Well, if you guys have anything additional that we can do like that, that's glad to do it. So,
Hopefully, have
Yeah.
some kids up in Cavendish excited
Yeah.
to
Oh,
go
I'm
up
sure
there.
we will.
yep, we will. Yep. Be good.
They had their own little film festival.
Yeah.
They do some really cool stuff up there.
kids were actually making their own little movie.
All right. Yeah, they do some awesome stuff. All right. Any other input for next time? We good?
801.
Okay. Meeting is adjourned.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Safe travel. Safe travels, Chris.
Here I go.
Don't step over the coffee table.
From her.
Okay.
to wear.
Yeah.